Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 82 of the J Situation podcast. I'm recording this on October 5th, 2021. How are you wonderful folks doing out there? Man, the weather is changing. Man, oh my gosh, it's fall. You know what that means? Man, that means Halloween, deer season, Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's. It's the absolute best time of year. That's right. It is. It is the best time of year. It's upon us. I'm super stoked. So much to be thankful for. It's awesome. I was pulling my recycling bins back in. You put the trash out some days. You put the recycling out there. I was talking to one of my neighbors. I was like, dude, it feels nice out here. He's like, yeah, man, it's going to be like 60 degrees in the morning, I think. For 60 degrees Fahrenheit, for those of you who don't live in the United States. But yeah, 60. Can you believe it? It's beginning of October, early October, and it's starting to feel like not summer. I'm excited about that. So that's cool. So yeah, I actually enjoyed it somewhat this weekend. I went shooting. I did. I had a lot of ranch work to do. But I went and I zeroed my hunting rifle again because I got that Swarovski scope. I'd posted a picture of it before, but I really hadn't been shooting with it. So I got that scope and I mounted it on there, and a while back, and I zeroed it, and it was really great. I'll touch on that on today's episode. I also did some machine gun fun because, reasons, of course, and I did some pistol stuff, all suppressed. All suppressed, though. No unsuppressed fire. We'll talk about that on today's episode. You might be wondering, suppressed? What's this guy talking about? Well, friend, I'm glad you asked. We suppress the sound signature of small arms because they're loud. That's right. We use silencers to do that. Silencers suppress sound signature. How's that for some alliteration? One place to buy silencers, if you're so inclined, is from Silencer Shop. The J Situation podcast is proudly sponsored by Silencer Shop, the most efficient and intelligent way to purchase silencers. It is. As a silencer consumer, they're not only my dealer of choice, but my infrastructure of choice. Okay, yeah, it's all about the efficiency with which your forms are run through the system, run through the gamut of infringement, as if it was designed that way to infringe upon your rights. No, it is. Since 1934, the government loves to prevent you from exercising your God-given rights. So what Silencer Shop has done is they made an easy-to-use system. Takes out the guesswork for the ATF. They can scan the code on the Form 4 to enter the information automatically. Really, really increases the throughput and reduces the error rate, which is key to making this an efficient process. As efficient as it can be for the government. So Silencer Shop is responsible for doing that, and that's one of the reasons they've grown. Okay, they got a network of dealers nationwide where silencers are legal. You can use their kiosk. It encrypts all your biometrics. All your photographs and your fingerprints, cuts down on errors, simplifies your silencer purchasing process, money back guarantee, no transfer fees, no paperwork errors, just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly is silencer ownership simplified. It is. And secondly, and most importantly of all, this podcast is brought to you by Pew Science, pushing the silencer industry forward one test at a time. Visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating, the simplest and most accurate hearing safe ratings for your suppressed small arms. They are based on true human sound perception. Suppression ratings in Section 5 of the Silencer Sound Standard walks you through gunshot noise. It's kind of like Wikipedia, but it's better because it's about guns and silencers, always entertaining. There are 7 parts. They're all on pewscience.com for you to read. If you haven't seen it, that's fine. Totally fine. I know it's a lot. You can skip directly to Section 5. That's where the suppression rating is. It lets you know how silencers stack up in comparison to one another with regard to sound at the muzzle and at the shooter's ear. And there's a hearing-safe dose limit for the particular platforms on which the silencers are tested. That's right. Directly tied to human perception. If it's higher, it sounds better. If it's lower, it sounds louder. That's all there is to it. You're not going to find this information anywhere else in the world, I promise. The 6th section of the standard, all the reviews. Okay, they're really detailed. You can go check them out at pewscience.com. And you know what? If they're too detailed for you, say, Jay, relax. You're a little too autistic, and frankly, it's concerning. I understand. Believe me, I won't hold that against you. But you can go to Section 7 of the standard. There's just a table. It's more friendly for you. You peruse, you sort, you look at ear ratings, muzzle rating, composite rating, caliber, weapon platform, silencer, maybe manufacturer. You say, yeah, you sort to your heart's content. You finally find something you want to see. You say, oh, well, let me know a little bit more about that silencer performance. Then there's a link in every line of the table there for you. Go back to the review and maybe you dig in and you see something else you like. You stay on. Website's free. Just hang out, peruse, show your friends. If you're at school, show your professor. Maybe you're at school. Maybe you go to university. You're in your physics class. You say, hey, maybe we should talk about silencers today. Why don't we pull up pewscience.com? You go up there to the podium. Maybe you're an engineering student in college. Maybe you don't go to a lot of parties. Maybe you want to meet some women. Maybe there's a girl in your class. You say, hey, look how much I know about silencers. You say, oh my gosh, this guy knows about. He's going to protect me. Oh my gosh, this guy is this guy a Navy SEAL? He might be. As always, if you're a manufacturer and you would like to, I've made myself laugh. Oh my God, could you imagine trying to pick up chicks? You could, frankly. I mean, Chicks dig nerds. How do you think I have? No, it's fine. As always, if you are a manufacturer and you would like to use PewScience for private testing and consulting services, there is a form on the website with which you can submit that inquiry. It is a legitimate business. I am running a consulting business here, despite my jokes. It is any testing we do for you, any contact information, anything. It's held in strict confidence. Okay. Unless you want to release that data to the world after we're finished with your project, that's up to you. PewScience can certainly help you do that. We've done that many times, but I want to let you guys know, for you folks listening, we've also not done that many times through manufacturer request, and you won't even. No one is even going to know we tested your stuff. Okay, that's the nature of this. This is this client confidential stuff. Nothing leaves the PewScience vault without being cleared by the manufacturer. Okay, nothing that's contracted testing becomes public unless the manufacturer chooses to release that data. They own that data. Okay, it's true, but go check that. You can see some of those things on the website so far, and there's a lot of stuff that I just test with internal PewScience funding. That frankly is owned by PewScience, and it's on the internet, and I own it, so you can view that, and no one has any control over that. So that's how that works. And there's a frequently asked questions on the website there if you want to go wild and satisfy your curiosity. Speaking of contracted efforts, PewScience, while it is a consultancy, there's a lot of goings on and things it gives to the community for free, and it is run with member support. Grassroots. And you can support this podcast. You can support PewScience. You can support all the testing that is done by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. You can. It's a low monthly cost. You can cancel anytime. It really helps out if you join, folks. I really do appreciate it. It's great. And I understand, hey, not everyone can contribute. I understand that. And you say, that's a little too rich for my blood. I say, that's fine. I'm not going to force you. But if you can't join, maybe you spread the word. Maybe you give the podcast a good rating. Maybe you share it. Maybe you go you subscribe to the podcast. You subscribe to you turn on the notifications for the social media posts there. You interact with folks. You let them know about PewScience. You spread the word of suppressed small arms, because at the end of the day, we are trying to normalize it for everybody. Okay, that is the goal. Frankly. Okay. I have 4 topics for you today, and I think this is going to be good. Yeah, topic 1. Last year when I hunted, I used a small hunting silencer on my rifle. I did. This year, I'm gonna try to use a big one on my fix, my 308. I zeroed my Swarovski. It's a spooky. Oh man, this was a spooky experience. We'll talk about that. Topic 2, another incremental CAM-LOK update for you. I'll give you some more shooting experience about that. I used the CGS Mod 9 and the Rugged Obsidian 9. Both in their long and short configurations. I'll talk to you about that. I'm zoning in on some performance factors for this mount system. We'll talk about that today in topic 2. Topic 3, new sound signature review this week. This week? Yeah, you bet your exhilarating yard pop there is. You betcha there is. There's this week some fresh data coming at you. We're going to get crazy. Are we going to get crazy? Maybe. We might get crazy. Topic 4, thank you for listening to the podcast. Thank you for joining at pewscience.com with a membership. Thank you for supporting the effort so enthusiastically. Thank you to all of you. I really do appreciate it. Gun shops, consumers, manufacturers, firearm enthusiasts across the globe. You folks, you share the info, and the community's great, frankly. It's I love it. And it's helping. So thank you. Okay. All right, we're going to move into topic 1. At a time of 11 minutes and 26 seconds. Oh, that's got to be. I was long-winded today. Well, it's Tuesday, and I had a really productive day today. There's nothing like a productive Tuesday. You know what that shows? That shows that you got your Mondays out of the way, and you killed it. And you got good momentum to the week. That's always one of my KPIs for the week. One of my key performance indicators for the week is how does my Tuesday go? Because you can't judge Monday. There's too much. It's just like first round pop in a silencer. You can't really judge a Monday for the complete characterization of the silencer. I mean, you use the Monday as an indicator, but for certain things. But when you look at overall things, the Tuesday is what sets the stage, I think. And that's what a great analogy. So topic 1, small hunting silencer last year. Yeah, I used the Hyperion K. I'm going to try a big one this year. I'm going to tell you why, because you'll see why. Okay, so this was utterly ridiculous. It was. Okay, so there I was. After a long day of ranch work, I was getting some things ready to ambush dangerous game. They're coming right for us. No, have you ever seen that South Park episode? No, they're coming right for us. No, I'm getting hunting areas ready in remote locations to murder white-tailed deer. Okay, it's super fun. It's what I do. I love it. We actually do kill we kill quite a lot of whitetail every year where I hunt. And we have to take care of some infrastructure to make that worthwhile. It's part of working a ranch and doing that sort of thing. And it's one of the things I do in my free time. I don't have a lot of free time because for those of you who don't know, I'm a practicing engineer, analyst, and researcher. I also am the owner and technical director of Pew Science. But I'm also an avid outdoorsman, and I enjoy murdering white-tailed deer in a coordinated fashion, calculated. It's premeditated murder. So after a long day of doing that, I went ahead and I put some steel out, and I drove my truck about 50 yards back and inflated my trusty REI sleeping pad, put it in the back of my truck, and I laid down behind my fixed rifle. It's a 308. It's a Q fix. I built that at Q there with those engineers, good guys. It's a 308, 16-inch barrel. The barrel is tapered. It's a 5/8 24 threading, but then it has that what is that 25 degree taper there. So of course I use a direct thread silencer on it. It's literally made for that. It's literally made for a direct thread silencer, right? So last year I did hunt whitetail with a gun. My fiance and I, we successfully murdered 3 white-tailed deer last year with a gun. We used the Hyperion K from CGS. It's a very small and light silencer. We use that. tiny. Perfect for hunting, really is. But this year, I realized I had never shot the full-size Hyperion on my on a 16-inch 308. I never shot that on that gun. I had just shot it on the 20-inch 308, the test host there. So I thought to myself, well, I know how the Hyperion K and the Hyperion work. I mean, I've studied them in depth. More than what you've seen, I've studied. And they do really weird stuff when the pressure gets higher. They are very, they vent gas extremely fast to the outer annulus, these two particular silencers. And this results in the Hyperion K having pretty low back pressure for its sound. And you've seen that. I have articles on that on the website. On pewscience.com, if you want to look at some research supplements, that's one of the silencers that stands out for that. The full-size Hyperion, however, it's longer, and it still vents very quickly to that annulus in the outside, but then it traps more gas just because of the way the rest of the stack is and configured, and the net effect of that is actually very strange. It's a very strange phenomena, and when you ramp up the pressure, it seems to get more efficient. Okay? And this happens with both of those silencers. And so we lose 4 inches of barrel, going from a 20-inch 308 to a 16-inch, right? Okay. Our muzzle pressure goes up. And there's a bonus with the big Hyperion. See, in addition to being quieter than the Hyperion K, it has higher back pressure, a lot higher back pressure than the Hyperion K. So that's going to reduce recoil more than the Hyperion K, right? We spoke about this. We spoke about why that is in a previous episode. The basic recoil kinematics of silencer use. We spoke about that. You have recoil from two sources, right? We talked about that. You have the momentum transfer of the bullet, which you can't get rid of. You're firing a bullet, okay? That momentum that's leaving, what? You think it's just going to go and no problem? No, you have the momentum transferred into you. It's that, Newton has those laws. They just can't get away. You can't get away from them. Conservation of momentum is real. So yeah, you have the momentum transfer of the bullet. So that's one thing. But you also have the thrust of the muzzle jet after the bullet leaves. Right? Remember? You remember that? Yeah. So that's different, right? That you can do something with. Now, the Hyperion and silencers with higher back pressure in general, and this is going to be true for something like the Nomad L, a Q-Full Nelson, things, a Thunder Beast Ultra 9, long, big gas traps. Okay? If you got a long, big gas trap, forget about what the silencer is called. If you've got a long, big gas trap, what are you going to trap? Well, trapping gas, in doing that, you're also going to trap jet thrust, aren't you? And what is jet thrust? Well, you have gas momentum coming out of the muzzle after the bullet leaves. Because what was pushing the bullet? Gas. What happens when the bullet leaves? Well, there's still stuff behind it coming out. Okay? It's jet thrust, gas and momentum, gas flow. It's a jet flow. It's jet momentum. I'm using all these words so maybe if you've heard it a different way, maybe you find this relatable. Okay? You can Google this. This is just physics. It's not, I was going to say it's not rocket science, but it is. Kind of is rocket science. It's fine. It's not that hard. So anyway, not to get too down in the weeds, big, long gas trap silencers like the Hyperion are going to slow that jet momentum considerably to atmosphere. So the majority of the thrust momentum after uncorking, that latent burning, that after burning, it's going to impinge upon the silencer itself, which is attached to the gun. So you don't get as much recoil impulse. Okay, you're attached to the gun. It's like you're pushing on yourself. You push on yourself from yourself. That's good. That's good. You reduce the thrust momentum. Okay. That's the basics of jet thrust recoil reduction with the silencer. That's silencer 101, or maybe it's silencer 102. I don't know. It's a junior course, lower level silencer course. You learn about that in your beginnings of silencer use. So that's how silencers reduce recoil. Well, that's how normal silencers reduce recoil, in that they reduce recoil thrust. Now, if you can also redirect that jet thrust with a muzzle brake without a silencer, right? And you can, of course, combine a silencer with muzzle brake thrust redirection by putting holes into the end of the silencer that are not the bore hole, like, I don't know, adding an e-brake to the end of a dead air silencer, or an anchor brake to the end of a silencer coast silencer, or putting holes in the circumferentially, like the KG-made rifle silencers, like R30, for example, the R556, for example. Those are KG-made. Not KG-made dead air silencers, but KGM, they make their own silencers, and they have those features. So, there are various, and I guess there's others that have done this over the years. So there's various ways to reduce recoil with silencers. But even if it doesn't have those extra features, the very act of slowing jet momentum to atmosphere will reduce thrust momentum imparted to the gun, the net system, and reduce recoil. So, saying all that, let me get a drink of water. That's crazy. Hold on. I spent way too long explaining that. So back to what I was talking about. The Hyperion, I was thinking to myself, knowing all this, I was like, ooh, man, it's going to feel cool, 16-inch. I was like, oh, man, I'm so excited. I want to see how it feels. So I was thinking, yeah, the big Hyperion, tapered threads, boom, I'm good to go. This is going to be wild. I'm thinking it's perfect. I did the Hyperion K. We murdered 3 glorious deer. And now let me try its big brother on this gun. And it's tapered. I don't have to worry about it. Just put it on. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I love that taper, I tell you what. The full Nelson, the half Nelson, the Hyperion, and the Hyperion K. Direct thread onto the fix. You can do it, fam. It's so great not to have a stupid extra piece. It's just cool. Anyway, okay, so I also got an Atlas bipod. Pretty stoked about it. I didn't feel like using my grip pod on the fix. Not because I can't, because I can do anything. But I could have, because what I could have done is I could have put a Picatinny rail adapter on the Q-Cert rail there on the fix there, but I didn't want to take the grip pod off of my 11.5, my machine gun. I like the grip pod. I didn't want to take that off, so I put the Atlas bipod on the fix like a reasonable person, and I used a Q-Cert mount that I bought from Q. Shout out to gentleman who designed that. He no longer works at Q, but he informed me that he designed that mount when he was there. He's a very nice person. And I believe he's making knives now. So he's a nice person. Designing knives, I think. Shout out, sir. So that little Q-Cert adapter there, I bought that from Q. It was expensive. And then, so the Atlas bipod mounts to the Q-Cert mount thing directly there. And then that bolts to the rail of the fix with one fastener. It's one fastener. And, the receiving fasteners in the Q-Cert rail, the female, I guess they would be the receiving nuts. They're in the rail there. They're very strong. And that connection capacity, I guess the thread engagement into that piece and the pull-out strength is very strong. And then what else do you have to worry? What's your other limit state? Well, you would have the shear of the aluminum, right? If you're pulling it out. If you I guess if you just wanted to follow the load path, like any structural engineer would do, you would follow the load path, boom, 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 and see what the weak point is. So it's a very strong mount. You can actually a little known fact, you can actually remove those fasteners out of the rail and replace them if one goes bad. It is really nice. I think, and there are actually McMaster, like, I don't know if I'm getting down in the weeds now, but I don't know if any of you guys have bought little parts from McMaster Car. Most of us who deal with tools and building things, you're familiar with that vendor. It's a very fast shipping vendor. Anyway, it's a standard. There's a McMaster Car part number somewhere for those little nuts there in the Q-cert handguard. I spoke with Nick, at Q about it, engineer, when I built the rifle. We were talking about it. I asked all these questions. I was like, okay, well, cool, man. Well, where'd you get this? And what's the strength of this? And how did you design this? And what was the moment of inertia of this? And what is the tensile strength of this? And we talked about those things. And he told me why he did it and how he did it and how easy it was. And I was like, that's awesome, dude. So yeah, I used that to mount the Atlas bipod onto the fig. And the reason I'm kind of talking about this, I don't think I've ever talked about Q-cert on the podcast, and I don't think, because this is the first time I've actually used the Q-cert mount system on the rail of the Q gun, and I found it to be incredibly easy to use. Like when you use CAM-LOK, you're like, this is stupid. CAM-LOK is like, I know it's an open standard and everything, but to me it's clunky. I don't like CAM-LOK at all. I like Picatinny rail and Q-cert. I'm skipping CAM-LOK. Like I have no choice but to use CAM-LOK on some of my weapons, but like I don't like it. I think it can be improved. Anyway, where was I? Oh, right. So the Atlas bipod. I'm fancy now. Yeah, I think all the fancy rifle folks use those things. I do. And I think the rifle needs it. It's nice to be able to lay down. You shoot an adjustable bipod like that. Both the legs, they telescope out. You pull the little dealie there, and you can make the legs independently go different lengths. Plus, you can make them angled to the like forward and aft, angled at different angles, and even it twists and does it's like a pan and tilt or pitch and yaw or whatever. You can roll the pitch of the mount, like, you know what I mean, to really level yourself if there's uneven ground. It's a really cool bipod, the Atlas there. I bought that. It's nice. Anyway, so I lay down in the truck bed. And keep in mind, I'm only 50 yards away from this steel. And I'm thinking to myself, it's 1/2-inch steel plate. I'm like, okay, I need to get on this steel. I'll adjust the Swarovski scope. Then I'll back up to 100 yards and I'll do my fine adjustments. You know what I mean? Just in case. I'm being conservative. I'm going to conserve ammo. I'm do the right thing. Okay. I don't want to go out to 100 yards first and the scope be so far off that I don't know where I'm hitting, because I didn't get a chance to laser sight it in. What I'll do is I'll bore sight. I'll use a laser bore sight just to dial the scope so I know I'm in the general vicinity, and that'll be good enough for me to be on paper at 100 yards, and then in the field, when I shoot at 100, I'll dial correctly. And then I'm like, okay, I'm zeroed. But like this time I didn't do that. Or rather, I couldn't remember. I actually couldn't remember anything. I knew I mounted the scope. I just couldn't remember if I had done it. I was like, did I bore sight this? I couldn't remember. So I get my little Frank Proctor beanbag, little tiny beanbag thing there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with these beanbags, but you use them to put, mine's really light because I carry it with me when I have the rifle just in a bag just to hunt with and stuff. Sometimes I'll like lay down prone and want to shoot, and I'll use that under the like under the stock or something, or I'll throw it in the front if I'm somewhere and I'll rest it on the rock. You can use a beanbag for different stuff. You put it under the rifle. So I put it under the stock there. Look at my bipod deployed. I lay down. I relax. I'm looking through the scope, the Swarovski. I'm like, oh, this is nice. And then sure enough, the eye relief wasn't right. I was like, oh my God, my eye box is all wrong. Scope is too far back. I was like, oh, why didn't I lay in this proper position before? Oh, I must have just held it up and I wasn't thinking. I had my head canted. I wasn't in a real shooting position when I mounted the scope. What a pain in the butt. What am I going to do? I thought I checked this. And then I was like, oh, this is no problem. The Swarovski is in the Scalar Works mount on the rifle. And, I posted a photo of this before. There used to be a sight mark scope in this mount on the gun last year. That's what I killed the deer with. I murdered those deer with a sight mark scope on the fix with the Hyperion K. Okay. So yeah, so the thing I like about the Scalar Works mount, other than its unitized nature, is the way it clamps to the Picatinny, to the 1913 rail. It's extremely easy to remove and install. Okay. Now the scope ring clamps are side clamping and stupid. But you can listen to a previous episode to hear me talking about that. It's ridiculous. I don't like the mount. I don't recommend you buy this mount unless you just have money to burn. But the way it mounts to the rail is awesome, dude. And this is like literally what I did. I was still laying down in the truck bed. I canted the rifle to the side. I unscrewed the mount screws by hand because they're thumb screws, right? I removed the mounted scope. I shifted it forward on the gun. I tightened the screws again by hand, alternating. Looked through the scope again. Eye relief was fine. Good to go. This is just all laying down in the truck bed in like less than a minute. I made that adjustment. Like, that's crazy, being able to do that. Like, seriously, like still laying down, prone. So that was easy. I mean, that you actually can't get any easier than that. And that's crazy. So now I'm thinking to myself, okay, really concentrate here, Jay. You got to get on this steel or you're going to have a bad time chasing your hits. Focus. Drop the mag. Cock the bolt. Clean dry fire. Deep breath. Let it out. Deep breath. Let it out. Deep breath, calm, squeeze, click. Again. Okay, again and again. I'm dry firing. I'm getting zen. I'm controlling my heart rate. I'm everything's quiet. I'm getting in the zone. I'm ready to shoot. Insert the mag. I chamber around. I get comfy. I squeeze my little bag. I aim. Safety's off. Squeeze, click, bang. Ding. Steel impact. Gun is so light. So light. So it finally comes back to the target. Like, dead center hit. Dead center hit. I'm like, what? I look through the scope on 16 power. It's a 2-16 Swarovski. Dead center. I'm like, what? Can't be. Can't be. I checked the turrets. I removed the caps. Elevation and windage are still on zero centers. Haven't adjusted the scope. I have not that I can remember. I don't think I zeroed the scope before. I'm like, oh, whoa. I mean, this is dead center. I'm like, this can't be. It can't be. I never shot the gun with this scope. Okay, so I'm not sure what's going on. Did I get lucky? So let's go to 100 yards and see. So that's what I did. Okay, get out of the truck bed, drive the truck to 100 yards. I verify it with a rangefinder, with my thermal scope that has a rangefinder. I'm like, okay, I get on my thermal scope. I can see the steel target glowing white because I have white hot in my pulsar, my LRF. I laser range finding in my thermal. I have it detached from a rifle. I have a couple of these scopes. I have a scan mode, and I'm like, okay, this is 100 yards, perfect. Okay, get back in the back of the truck, get situated. I put some more rounds in the mag because I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna shoot some groups. Squeeze, click, bang, psh, ding, steel impact, dead center. Okay, let me aim above it and shoot a different group. Squeeze, click, bang, psh, ding, steel impact. Psh, ding, steel impact. I shift below the first group. Ding, ding, dead on, dead on. I'm shooting groups with this thing. Above my first impact, below my first impact. I'm shooting groups. The splatter from the lead is touching each other 100 yards. Ladies and gentlemen, Pew Science family, members, listeners, dealers, consumers, men, women, daughters, sons, dogs, cats, I experienced a 0-in-1, dude. It's the fabled put your scope on your rifle and shoot it and it's done situation. 0-in-1 situation. I didn't adjust the scope. Aliens. It's aliens. Right? No, think about this. No. And I wanted to talk to you about this podcast because this is not, like, I've seen this happen before. This dude once, I say this dude, this man that I respect a lot, who's much, much, much older than me, one of the people who taught me how to deer hunt, how to hunt white-tailed deer. This happened to him once with a new rifle. Okay? It's never happened to me before. And this guy, he's hunted in Africa. He's hunted everywhere. He's been shooting rifles since I wasn't even a glimmer in my father's eye. This guy. And this happened to him. Never happened to me. But it happened to me. So I want to tell you about it. I want to talk about some of the things that had to be right for this to happen. Okay? So number one, I had to shoot okay. Okay, I'm not the best. I am not the best shot, but I did my job Saturday. I promise you that. I took my time and I did my job. So that's one. Two, the rail had to be square on the gun. Obviously. We're stacking errors, right? We're stacking errors at this point. The rail had to be square. I mean, I built this thing at Q myself. I mean, it's pretty straight. I mean, I don't know how straight it is, but it's pretty straight. Apparently, the barrel and the receiver. And remember, this is not a chassis. Okay, this is not a chassis. This is a unitized receiver. And the barrel goes into it with a barrel nut, which is not an AR barrel nut. It's a little different. And the rail is bolted to the top of the unitized receiver and handguard. Okay, and it's very stiff. And the different axes of stiffness are such that the rail is pretty straight. And is not going to really have a lot of deflection relative to the receiver. And that means it for all intents and purposes behaves as one piece. We would call that composite. It behaves as a composite. Okay, structurally, in stiffness, and resistance too. Okay, in strength. Some of you, I'm using words that some of you probably don't use the words like I use because I'm a structural dynamicist, so I use these words professionally, and you maybe don't use them, but that's fine. What I'm trying to tell you is one of the things that had to be right was that it had to be built right. The silencer had to be aligned right, and it's tapered, and it's DMLS, so it's not, so this is like made by a machine. It's not subtractive, right? It's additive manufacturing, so it's aligned. And the silencer also, it couldn't cross jet, right? It couldn't cross jet and push. It couldn't push on the projectile as the bullet was going through it. That wouldn't work. Have worked. Would it have worked? That wouldn't have worked. So that had to be on. And then finally, the vibrational mode of the barrel. It had to be such that at the time the bullet left the system, the barrel was in a position that was perfect for the bullet arc to reach the target at the point of aim. And that's the dumb chance of this whole thing. Okay, it makes no sense for this to happen. like windage being on. Okay, 1 second. Excuse me. Like windage being on. Okay, all this stuff I was talking about with alignment. Okay, the windage being on. That's spooky. For sure, dude. Like, that's spooky. But the vertical, like the elevation to be on too, that's like a wild coincidence. Because the barrel's vibrating. Okay, the barrel's vibrating. So that's it just makes no sense for that to happen. It's dumb chance. So, because last year I had the Hyperion K on the rifle and the sight mark in the same mount. Or no. It wasn't in the same mount. It was in the same type of mount. It was in a ScalarWorks Leap mount like this one, but I don't think it was the same exact mount. It's not the same exact mount. But anyway, I remember I did have to dial the sight mark a little when I zeroed, but not much. Just a little bit. I didn't have to dial much. I remember 100 yards when I first shot it. So, I don't know. We just may have hit a perfect harmonic with the Hyperion or something. It's a light silencer. I mean, the Hyperion K is lighter. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe the weight. I guess the lumped mass at the end. You know how that works, right? You have a natural frequency vibration. And so, like, when you have recoil, this is literally a cantilever beam. For you structural engineers, and you structural dynamicists listening to this, you have a cantilever beam with a lump mass at the end. You're going to excite it with a jet thrust, so that's going to be a forcing function, and then it's going to go into free vibration. When it goes into free vibration, your natural frequency, so the square root of the stiffness over the mass, is going to dictate the period at which period is the inverse of frequency, the period at which it vibrates. And when that bullet leaves, the bullet already left because you're already in free vibration. But when that bullet left, that barrel was vibrating, and it was going up and down, up and down. When it goes up or down, that moment in time is your initial position for your projectile. And once your projectile is in free flight, all it has is a velocity vector. And then it's subject to gravity. And hopefully it can hit the target before gravity pulls it down to the ground. That's how bullets work. So that's how ballistic works. That's how physics works. So yeah, just so happens everything worked out fine. That's crazy. That's aliens. So about the mass on the end, that's another thing. Hyperion's pretty long, right? It's a long silencer for sure, dude. But the Nomad L, the Full Nelson, the Ultra 9, those are all long silencers. They're all full size, right? The Hyperion is light, dude. It is light, and it's weird. Because when you pick it up, you don't expect it to be that light. You're like, wow, that's weird. It doesn't feel real. So, it's long, so it's kind of obtrusive for use in a blind, like a deer blind. In South Texas, where I hunt, sometimes I don't hunt from a blind, but many times I am hunting from a blind. So it's a little bit cumbersome with that. But the fixed rifle that I'm using it on, well, it's only a 16-inch barrel, so I'm already 4 inches shy of like a typical 308 hunting rifle, and my stock folds. So that's huge. You know what I mean, Jelly Bean? So that's cool. And frankly, like, this thing is spooky now. Like, I feel like after that experience, I feel like it's an omen now. Like, how can I not hunt with this silencer now? Right? So, yeah. So, I planned on doing that, like, as a dual experiment where I was like, well, I need a sight and a scope. And also, like, I haven't shot the Hyperion on the fix. I've only shot the Hyperion K, 16-inch barrel. Let's see how it sounds. I'm leaving it on, and I'm probably going to leave it on through whitetail season into early 2022 at least. And when I say leave it on, actually in my gun case that I use for this, I have an old Eagle Industries black MP5 case. It's a soft Cordura case. I'll unscrew the silencer. I put it in one of the MP5 mag pockets, and it does fit in there. It barely closes with a little Velcro, but it does fit into the pouch. And then I fold the fixed stock and I put the rifle in there, and that's what the case I use. I use that case a lot for that and my machine gun. It's Eagle Industries. Eagle Industries has been out for such a long time. They make wonderful cases. I actually, you know what I did? I just bought an Eagle Industries fanny pack. It'll be here this week. I'll have to show you. It's really nice. I hope. They make good quality bags. Always have. They made the old HK bags, and I wish FN would have them make their new pistol bags, because the pistol bag I got with my 509 Compact Tactical is terrible. It's made in China. What was I saying? Oh, right. I'm going to use the Hyperion with a fix. Yes. So another thing about this shooting, I'm going a little detailed about this gun because I haven't talked about the fix in a while. I want to talk about it. I was shooting surplus Lake City Federal XM80. Okay, 149 grain ball rounds. It's Pew Science test ammo. It's very consistent ammo. When I first tried it in the fix, when I got the fix last year, or whenever I built it, 2 years ago, last year, I can't remember, probably last year, I had some light primer strikes, and it wouldn't fire the rounds on the first shot there, and the first trigger pull. It never happened to me in a bolt gun before. I was like, what in the world? I spoke with the Q engineer and said about the primer compound detonation and the design of the striker and the gun there in the fix. And they let me know that some of the harder primers will not get initiation with the fix. They won't. And that sucked. And I had forgotten about that because, I went during the deer season, I used the Federal 308 150 grain Power Shock soft point. Like, that's like straight up Walmart ammo, dude. Like, that's not even sophisticated. But I've killed every deer on my wall with that ammo. That's like straight up FUD stuff. Like, but I have a huge box of it. So, like, I bought a bunch of it. I've always used it. It works. It kills the whitetail at distances I use. That's why I hunt. Go with what works. It's always It's like in my Savage, the test host for Pew Science that I used for like 10 years to hunt with. I could shoot lights out with that ammo. So accurate. So I was like, well, I'm not going to change ammo. It's accurate and it kills things. Like, why would I change? And it's cheap. So it was always cheap. So yeah, so I have a bunch of it. So anyway, I never that never had a problem with the primer getting initiated with the fix. And the only other silencers I'd shot with on the fix were the Hyperion K and the Helios QD TI last year. Remember? I don't know if you remember. I talked about that on a previous episode of the podcast. So I imagine either the striker had to break in a little bit to be able to achieve proper impact momentum. Because the impact area, if you guys know how primers work, and you probably don't, that's okay. But it's a function of, it's a couple of different things that initiate a primer. A couple different parameters have to happen. Anyway, so we're not changing the area, so it might be the momentum transfer. So maybe the striker had to break in. I'm not sure, because I shot a bunch of that XM80 in the fix this weekend, and it was fine, dude. And it makes me happy because I want to shoot cheap ammo in this gun, because I'm kind of like, now it's decked out. I got a Swarovski scope and an Atlas bipod. You know what I mean? So, and then putting a super quiet silencer, that Hyperion, dude, when I was shooting that, and it was like, psh, ding, it's a really weird, it doesn't sound like other 308 silencers. It just doesn't. It's weird. So anyway, that scope though, bro, that Swarovski. So I got the 2-16. They make a 2. I think they make a 2.5 to 18. I got the 2-16, guys. The Z8i. Bro. Let me tell you something. The glass. It is so spooky clear. It really is. Like, it's not even, and I'm super psyched to use it for whitetail at dawn and dusk. That's really where hunting scopes like this shine. It gives you that few extra minutes of good shooting light on either end of the day. And you know that deer, they're, excuse me, what's that word? Crispiculent? I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, but it means that those type of animals, they feed at dawn and dusk. Like, that's when they're most active for feeding. That's how, I mean, they eat all times during the day, and they also chew their cud because they're ruminant animals. But anyway, so the dawn and the dusk is when, you know, you really want to be able to see the deer if you're going to take a shot, and you do not hunt deer at night. They're a game animal, so that's illegal. You don't shoot them at night. That's just not a legal thing to do, and we don't do that. And so that's not okay. So having a scope is important, a daylight scope like that. And so, in short, I'm stoked, dude. I'm actually gonna post a photo of this rifle for you with this episode. It is nice, dude. It's awesome. Like, I think, like, I don't even want to think how much money's in it, but it's ridiculous, and it's cool. It's like the ultimate whitetail setup, really. When you think about it, it's like the ultimate hunting gun, hunting bolt action. I think it's super light and quiet and crazy and like accurate and deadly, dude. 308, come on, man. It's 308 out of 16-inch barrel. I know a lot of people say you only need like a 12-inch barrel for 308. No, man. I mean, that's probably true for like whitetail, but with 16-inch 308, I think with 20-inch 308, you can probably kill most things in North America. I think at a decent range. With 16-inch 308, you're still killing most stuff. Maybe you're not taking a shot at elk at 400 yards. Maybe at 400 yards for elk, maybe you use 300 Win Mag. But 308 is going to do some damage. And with a good bullet, if I wasn't using, you know, if I was hunting something else other than whitetail, something bigger, I'd probably use a solid copper bullet for maximum momentum, you know, retention to the animal. I'm sorry, maximum mass retention, so momentum transfer. To make sure it keeps going and penetrates, because the name of the game to murdering efficiently is penetrating. So you can make sure to get that blood trail or break the shoulder and immobilize. Either way, make sure you get the animal. Recovery is key. This is South Texas. We're not hunting in some kind of weird field where it's easy. All right, this is real life. So yeah. By the way, I did post on Instagram. I showed you a hole in that AR-500 steel plate. First of all, guys, in recounting the events, that hole was from the 50-yard shot. Like, after replaying the events in my head, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't check the plate between the 50-yard shot and the 100-yard shot. I just looked at it from distance, like, oh, I got an impact because I had just spray painted it white. Turns out that was a hole. So yeah, XM80 at 50 yards out of a 16-inch barrel is going to vibe check your half-inch steel. And I posted that to an Instagram story. I had so many people reach out to me. Oh my gosh, contact company XYZ. They can give you better quality steel plates. I was like, don't tell me that, guys. Like, you have a gross misunderstanding of terminal ballistics. Don't try to sell me steel targets. Like, first of all, the ballistic limit velocity for projectile and steel is so well understood that you can't possibly sell me something, because I understand the physics of it, and we all do, because it's like a known phenomena in fact, guys, it's so well studied. There are equations that you can use. Like, I could write an article on this for you. I could give you the equations. You could put your bullet parameters into it with the velocity, and I could tell you exactly how much steel, the type of steel, and the thickness of steel you would need to stop different bullets. Like, this is not like, and to within like, and the calculation it would be so close that like you would have the answer. Okay, like, this is not like voodoo science. Like there's so much test data and so many empirical equations on ballistic limit velocity for terminal ballistics of small arm weapons that like I couldn't, like it's not even it's I know it sounds complicated, and it is, or at least the work to generate them was, but the actual like use of the equations, dude, come on, man. If you work at a firearm company and you don't know that, like I wouldn't be able to believe it if they're not teaching you, like, please at least tell me there's on the job training. Like, come on, guys. Like, I know some of it like classified, but most of it's not. Okay. I'm pretty sure I talked your ear off about that experience. I just wanted to tell you guys that's what I'm going to use for hunting, and it's a good rifle. It's really light though. Recoil, it's going to bruise your shoulder. Yeah. Light scope, light rifle. Even with Hyperion reducing recoil, it's gonna. I definitely had a bruised shoulder. I looked at. I was like, took off my shirt. I was like, huh, that's interesting. A little bruise there. I shot a lot. I shot other stuff too. It happens. It's part of shooting. Okay, topic 2 at a time of 56 minutes and 21 seconds. Okay, topic 2. Yeah. Oh, this is going to be not too long, probably. Another incremental CAM-LOK update for you. That's right. So I shot that again. The mod. I used the mod 9, the CGS mod 9, the rugged Obsidian 9. I was zoning in on some performance factors. I think I'm ready to give you guys some guidance on how to use this CAM-LOK properly. Okay, and my guidance is going to differ from the manufacturer's guidance. Okay, so just hear me out. Get a drink of water 1 second. Okay, what are we, about an hour in? Yeah, that's reasonable. Get this done. Okay. Okay, first, before I start talking about this CAM-LOK and pistols, I want to give you a reality check. All right? First of all, no matter how curious you get, and I want you guys to promise me something. No matter how curious you get, be careful shooting without hearing protection to try stuff out. Especially if your ears are already messed up. Just be careful. The suppression rating drops when the conditions are unfavorable around you. Okay? If you have a tree line close by, or a house, or other reflecting surfaces, be aware of that, okay? Be aware of your surroundings. It's going to rock your world cumulatively. Cumulatively. It's going to rock your world. It's going to add up. I'm just saying, okay? It's not going to happen right away. It's not going to happen overnight. But eventually, you're going to get that ringing in your ears, okay? And it's never going to go away. It's permanent, okay? It's never going to go away. If you're not careful, okay? So keep that in mind. Now, enough doom and gloom. I wanted to tell you that, okay? It's important. So, CAM-LOK, okay. Here's the thing. You need to clean the mount and the piston. And you don't need to use lube on it. Okay? The taper cannot have lube on it. You don't want that. It's going to prevent the requisite friction force on the taper. It's not going to work right. Okay, it's got to be that, dude. I did some trials. I got the Obsidian 9 to stay on after a while, like after shooting, taking it off, putting it back on. Like at first, it was loosening after a mag. It was, guys, and I had just lubed the piston with my favorite grease, like the TW 25B, that white stuff. In the military, they called it something that's it's vulgar. I'm not going to say it in the podcast, but you machine gunners might be familiar with it. Well, at least if your era, if you've been in the desert using it. So I got some on the CAM-LOK adapter on the barrel. I have a habit of wiping spare grease on that's on my fingers onto like exposed metal. I don't know. Maybe I'm a gun guy. It's what I do. Like, you know what I mean? Like, sure enough, I was like, oh, idiot. I just put the grease on the freaking CAM-LOK adapter. Oh. So I think that's why the silencer loosened after a mag. So no strikes, but it loosened. I had to tighten it. I was like, that's stupid. That sucks. So I tried to clean it the best I could. So, man, the Obsidian 9, it retains heat like a mother, dude. Like, that's crazy. Like, more steel in it. And I think it has a higher thermal inertia. You understand that term, thermal inertia? It has a higher thermal mass, so it has a higher thermal inertia. So it takes longer to heat up and cool down. Yeah, okay, more mass. So it's interesting. Did some quick shooting with the FN, that 509 compact tactical there. My new baby. It was getting late, and I had just done mag dumps with the 11.5 inch and the Helios QDTI. That silencer. Hey, that silencer just came out. Like, you guys can buy that now. I've had mine for like a year. But I had that Liberty's Defense cover on it. I wanted to know how that cover was going to behave in full auto, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot the crap out of the silencer right now. I did like 200 rounds through it, like full auto back to back. Then I stopped and I started doing slow fire. So like not 200 rounds full auto, but like maybe 100 rounds full auto back to back mags. And then I did like slow fire, shooting steel with it just for fun. And I actually, just before I started doing this podcast tonight, I inspected the blast baffle. It looks fine. It's looking better than the Surefire blast baffle right now, dude. The the SOCOM 556 RC2 with the 3-prong, it jet cuts that thing, dude. It's like it has like 3 distinct erosion patterns on the Inconel blast baffle of the Surefire. That's well known. You guys have seen that before. So anyway, I'll post some little borescope videos to Instagram story or something. Remind me about that. Anyway, back to the pistol stuff. Yeah, so I like small pistol silencers on pistols. Small pistol silencers on small pistols? I need to test it. I haven't tested it. It's okay. Is it okay for limited use? Absolutely. Gonna carry one for the utility of it? Absolutely. You can put the silencer in a pocket. You put it in a fanny pack, put it in a holster attachment if you have like that T-Rex arms tourniquet, whatever. I don't know, whatever that is. If you want, whatever. I like mine in a pocket or a bag. If I need to use my gun really fast, I'm not gonna have time to deal with a silencer. Okay, that's just not. But if I'm gonna use the gun on a ranch, like where I go to dispatch something pretty quickly or expediently if I need to, I'm going to use the silencer, and that's what it's for. Okay? And I've used my pistol in a pinch for things like that before, not having a silencer, and that sucks, dude. You cannot shoot. Like, let's say you have to kill something really quick. I'm not going to elaborate on this, but I've done it. Let's say you have to kill something really quick with a pistol, and you try to plug your other ear, but you can't plug the ear on the side where you're holding the gun. Like you can try to like stuff something in your ear, but if you don't have hearing protection, you have to use that pistol. Even if it's outside, it's going to suck for you, dude. It's going to be loud. It's going to ring your ears. And so yeah, I've had to do that before. So I carry a silencer now for sure. Like I have hearing protection and a little thing, and hopefully I'll have one of those two things. You know what I mean? So yeah, so that's one of the use cases for carrying I know a lot of people are like, why would you carry a silencer? It's like, are you serious? Why would you carry a gun? Touche. You know what I mean? Okay, so CAM-LOK. Sorry, I meant to talk about the CAM-LOK. Now, the most important thing for you, besides not putting it on all the way, like when you install this thing, what I need you to do is place it on, you place the CAM-LOK, you put the CAM-LOK piston in the silencer. You put the assembly onto the adapter on your barrel, but don't put it all the way on. Put it on and then gently twist to see how far you had to put it on before to twist. And when you find that area, that's where to twist. If you shove that whole thing onto the CAM-LOK adapter all the way to the shoulder and try to twist it on, it won't want to twist. It's going to hang up, and you're going to pop over the the threads, and it's gonna damage the piston threads, the interrupted threads, and it's not gonna break it, but that's not how you do it. You'll still work, but you need to be careful about how you put it on. And then the second thing is, don't get grease on the taper. Don't get lube on the taper. So that's important. You remember I gave you that account of that gentleman who had that experience? He shot his CGS Mod 9 downrange with the CAM-LOK. It came unscrewed and he shot it downrange. That guy followed up with me. He got a new adapter from Griffin and stuff. He ended up putting that stuff in an ultrasonic to clean it before using it with like no grease, and it locks up perfect. Dude. So, or maybe that wasn't a new adapter. Maybe that was an existing one. Regardless, we were talking about it, and it like definitely supports what I was doing when I was shooting, and I finally got it so hot that it like burned off all the lubricant. And then I was continuously cleaning it with my shirt, trying to get it. I was like, I didn't have like a alcohol wipes with me or anything. I was trying to clean off the lube. And that's what you want. And the reason I'm talking about the lube so much is because on ARFCOM, in that thread I made the other day, or a couple weeks ago, or whenever I did it, Austin, the guy who designed the mount, was like, yeah, you should probably put some lube on it. And I was like, what? I was like, I don't think so. I was like, I don't think you want to put lube on it, because you're going to reduce the coefficient of friction. And the coefficient of friction is what's keeping it tight. The reason that works is that the normal force times the coefficient of friction is going to give you the friction force. That's the friction equation that all of you who had science class remember that equation. Friction force equals mu, so the Greek letter mu times the normal force being the force normal to the interface surface where the two parts are mating there. So, that coefficient of friction, mu, is the friction force directly proportional to that. So if you were to put grease on it, you reduce that coefficient of friction by some factor, you will reduce the friction force directly proportional to the reduction in mu. So if you grease your taper, you are reducing the resistance to unscrewing, directly proportional to the reduction in friction from the grease. So don't do that. Don't do that. That's not going to work at all. That's going to shoot your silencer downrange. So those adapters, when they come from Griffin, they're dirty. Not dirty. They probably have oil preservative on them from machining, or they're not clean. So you might want to put them in ultrasonic or something. Is that going to make them rust? I don't know. I don't care. Get them dirty. If you don't want it to rust, clean it with ultrasonic, screw on the piston, and go shoot it. You'll be all right. You'll be fine. And I think that's going to make it not pop off, okay? That's my suggestion right now. Okay? And I kind of put out the bounty on this, guys. I put out the call to have CAM-LOK improved by people in the industry. I did it on social media, and to my knowledge, I got responses. Several parties are working on stuff right now to make some solutions for this. So we're going to get better stuff, guys. It might not happen this second, but people are working on it. That means innovation's happening. Okay, how do we get better products? We highlight deficiencies of the products that exist. That's how we get better products. Okay, it's going to be awesome. But for now, CAM-LOK is the best we have. Okay, CAM-LOK is the best we have to prevent pistol silencers from unscrewing, unless you want to use a tapered a 13.5 by 1 left hand that Q makes for the Erector 9 on a barrel, but it's going to wear your barrel because it's not using an O-ring. They're using an aggressive taper, and that steel from that piston is going to be harder than the steel of the barrel. And And I don't even, and I've had some issues with Q's parts lately being really out of spec. And I'm just not using Q stuff on my personal guns right now, as far as pistols go. Now my fix, that's a different story. That's fine. But yeah, I'm not using Q pistol stuff right now. It's not. The silencers are okay, but some of their parts from their vendors are not doing their QA/QC right, and I'm not dealing with that right now. That's a whole other story for another episode. But yeah, so CAM-LOK's basically the best we have to prevent silencers from loosening reliably if you use it right. But there's all these little caveats. Well, don't put it on this way, and make sure it's not lubed. And it's like, okay, so we need a better solution. We need something more simple. I think we don't need to use interrupted threads. I think it just needs to be an adapter, simple, just like the end of a fix. Yeah? A simple little thread adapter. Take the Griffin adapter, the CAM-LOK adapter, make the threads complete. Make them Acme threads. They can still be coarse. And then make the taper steeper. Yeah? What do you think about that? I think that'd be better. I think it'd be awesome. Anyway, that's my suggestion. It's free consulting. I could do this myself. I just don't have the time. So, I mean, patent it and whatever. And then next thing you know, we got to mount. Anyway, so yeah. CAM-LOK's the best we have for now. It's stay in my carry gun until we get something better. I like it. It protects the barrel, and it works. And I will use it. And it doesn't unscrew when it's clean, when it doesn't have any lube on it. So seems to work fine. Okay, all right. Topic 3. Running long. Topic 3 at a time of 1 hour, 11 minutes. And 48 seconds. Oh, yeah. New sound signature review this week. You betcha. There is. I'm excited. Why am I excited? I'm excited because this review is going to be a good one. I think it is. This is going to put some stuff out into the world that you probably knew was coming. You probably did. And if you're a Pew Science reader and podcast listener, you probably understand already what you're going to understand it already, but I think it's going to surprise a lot of people. I actually reached out to the company who makes the silencer yesterday. Or maybe Sunday. I might have sent him an email Sunday. I reached out to have a dialogue with them about it, and I was able to speak with them today. And they didn't know I tested the silencer. They didn't know. So I want you to remember that as I publish this week, okay? They didn't know. Okay, so I want you to understand that the company not only didn't know the test was happening, but they haven't seen the data either. Okay? So they are going to see it when you see it. Nobody in the world has seen this other than Pew Science. Okay? So when I publish this review, all of you will be the first people to see it in the world other than Pew Science. Okay? I'm saying this multiple times. I'm just anticipating criticism. And I just want you to know that this is independent data, okay? Independent data analysis. Now, I have no doubt that this will be talked about and referenced and studied and scrutinized, and all kinds of things are going to be said. But at the end of the day, the data is going to be not only undeniable, but incredible. Okay? We are zoning in on the essence of Pew Science, the essence. Okay? With every test, more and more of the data set and methodology is validated. It's consistent, meaningful, correct, cutting edge. Pew Science. It's a commercial. No, okay. No, it is. Stay tuned. It's going to be great. I think it's going to be really nice. And a lot of people are going to be very happy. And a lot of people, they're not going to know what to do. They might just, I don't know what you're going to do. If I was a consumer, just a silencer consumer right now, I'd be like, what in the actual? All right. Topic 4 at a time of 1 hour, 14 minutes and 49 seconds. Oh, man. Off by 1 second for a perfect 3-minute thing there. Topic 4. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining at pewscience.com. Thank you for supporting the effort so enthusiastically. Thank you to gun shops, consumers, manufacturers, firearm enthusiasts across the globe. Thank you. Your folks, you're sharing the info. The community is great. I do appreciate it. It's been so great. Some folks, they've been asking me why I don't raise the membership fees. I actually, it's funny you ask. You have been asking that. I might have to. But I don't want to. I hate to do that. I want to keep it really, really economical to support for everybody. I was going to ask, if you folks had a form on the website with which you could enter a donation, would you make a one-time donation? Would you do that? Like no catch, like you wouldn't, like nothing received. Like you wouldn't become a member of Pew Science, you would just donate. Would you do that? Like Wikipedia, you can donate to Wikipedia to keep it going. Would you do that? Like donate to Pew Science, donate to the Silencer Sound Standard? Like if I get, maybe I might do a poll or something, but feel free to reach out to me, give me feedback about that. If I get some feedback about that, I will totally implement something. Like it's not that hard to code up for me. I can code that like easy peasy lemon squeezy. I just haven't done it because I hate to ask you for money, but I do need funding for the research. So, or maybe I'll just wait until I launch the Pew Science store and it'll be in that. I don't know. Let me know what you think, okay? I'd be interested to hear your thoughts, guys. Like your honest thoughts. Anyway, so regardless of our method of fundraising for the effort, I do appreciate your support. It comes from foreign entities, from domestic entities, commercial, consumer, law enforcement, military. It truly is. It's a varied mix of folks from different walks of life in different roles. So that's cool. Okay, you guys are great. It means a lot. It does. And I know I say this a lot, but I really want you to know I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for you helping. The community that you're building is great. That we are building is great. Keep spreading the word. Help people learn by letting them know about Pew Science, okay? Together, we are changing the industry. It's one test at a time. I'm serious. And every time we test and release data and analysis, it changes the industry by incrementally. Okay, so stay tuned this week for some data, all right? You're gonna find it very interesting, I promise. And dare I say, if you are following this stuff, you may not find it surprising. Okay? You may not. I don't know. What could it be? I'll talk to you folks again soon.